news. Just moments ago, Vice President Kamala Harris picked up the formal endorsement of former President Barack Obama and Michelle Obama as well. Here is the brand new video.
Kamala.
Hello. Hi.
Hey there.
Oh, hi, you're both together. Oh, it's good to hear you both.
I can't have this phone call without saying to my girl Kamala, I am proud of you. This is going to be historic.
We called to say Michelle and I couldn't be prouder to endorse you and to do everything we can to get you through this election and into the Oval Office.
Oh, my goodness. Michelle, Barack, this means so much to me. I'm looking forward to doing this with the two of you, Doug and I both, and getting out there, being on the road. But most of all, I just want to tell you the words you have spoken and the friendship that you have given over all these years mean more than I can express. So thank you both. It means so much. And we're going to have some fun with this too, aren't we?
So this is not unexpected, but could be a bit awkward for Donald Trump this morning. Overnight, his campaign said it would not commit to debating Harris, in part because she had not been endorsed by Obama. Well, now she has. With us now, CNN senior White House correspondent Kayla Tausche. Kayla, again, not unexpected, but kind of shows this tight rollout that Harris has had over the last this is what, the 6th day?
Yes, John, highly choreographed, even though all of this came together in the 11th hour over just the last week. This was a critical piece for Vice President Harris to get the endorsement from a party leader who still has influential sway across the entirety of the Democratic Party. It shouldn't be understated the fact that this came on several days after her candidacy became official, but also after the official process to clinch those delegates came through. Sources have said that the Obamas didn't want to be seen as anointing Vice President Harris or seen as part of a coronation, in the words of one, choosing instead to wait until after some of those processes have played out. But certainly it is going to provide quite a bit more momentum for a campaign that has already seen quite a bit of that. $126 million raised as of Tuesday. The campaign has not provided an updated number, even though several days have followed that. And even though several major organizing calls have taken place, including one last night with white women, where 164,000 women participated in that. And Harris is going to be trying to use that momentum across the battlegrounds in the coming days. The campaign saying that just today it will be holding events in Michigan, North Carolina, Georgia, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania, following on dozens of events taking place across other battleground states leading up to this point. Of course, the calendar is very crunched at this point. There are a lot of deadlines coming up in August alone. We have learned from sources that Vice President Harris and her team are expected to lock in a running mate by August 7th. That would be a process that would be just about 2 weeks from start to finish. August 1st is the earliest date that the Rules Committee has decided that early voting could begin. And then, of course, there is the convention, the 19th through the 22nd, less than a month away at this point. So certainly there is a lot to do in just the next few weeks, guys.
Yeah, not a lot of real estate left on that calendar. Kayla Tausche, great to have you on in the mornings. Thanks so much for being with us. Appreciate it. With us now, CNN political commentator Kristen Soltis Anderson and Democratic strategist Matt Bennett. Matt, the facts of this endorsement aside, this sort of caps this week, this remarkable now 6 days of a pretty tight rollout. How do you see it having played out?
I mean, there's no way it could have gone better. It was very clear that the vice president's team was ready. They didn't know if the president would step aside. They had no idea, and they didn't know when it would come. But the moment that it came, they just sprang into action and they rolled it out in unbelievably perfect way. They made all the calls they needed to make. They rounded up the endorsements they needed. They kind of closed off the field to others. And then they put her out on the road and captured this incredible wave of momentum that followed this, sigh of relief that the party was giving, that we now have a nominee that seems really capable of prosecuting the case against Trump. And I think what you're finding is that the Trump team is definitely not ready. I mean, they have these ridiculous lawsuits. They're now saying they're not going to debate her. They're on their heels and defensive about J.D. Vance and Project 2025. So things have gone really well so far.
We're going to get to the debate thing in just a moment, but Kristen, first to you, with the Obamas, is there anything unique politically about their endorsement? I don't think this was unexpected, but does this endorsement carry something special that others have not?
Well, I think, one, it was smart to actually delay it a few days. There was a little bit of online chatter. Why hasn't Obama endorsed? Why hasn't Obama endorsed? It's smart because it takes the story and it makes yet another day. It gets to stand on its own as a story. However, I do think that if Democrats think that they are going to recreate the Obama coalition this year, that is a bit of a big dream, but seems unlikely to me. Remember, Barack Obama won in part by being able to pull together this incredible coalition that included states like Iowa. Iowa voted for Barack Obama twice. And I'm not encouraging anyone to go bet a bunch of money, but I wouldn't go to Vegas right now and put a bunch of money on Kamala Harris winning Iowa in 2024. So, for some of these politicians like Barack Obama, who's very talented, the question is, how much does his coalition, can it be rebuilt in new, much more polarized times? And count me a little bit skeptical of that.
So Matt brought up the debates, and Kristen, I want to give this question to you because this has been such an unprecedented week. I've been surprised by a lot of things, big and small. One of the small things I've been surprised by is how much Republicans have focused on the process in the Democratic Party. And the debate's just one aspect of it. We have this release from the Trump campaign overnight backing off the debates, at least for now, that says, given the continued political chaos surrounding Cricket Joe Biden and the Democratic Party, the debates cannot be finalized until Democrats formally decide on their nominee. They go on to say there's a strong sense by many in the party, namely Barack Hussein Obama, and then it goes on, ... They're not going to commit to debates just yet. Of course, Obama then this morning goes out and endorses. But Kristen, explain, what does Trump get out of this? What do they get something out of this process argument?
Well, it is not wrong to underscore how extremely unprecedented this is. I mean, Democratic voters did not get the opportunity to really have a meaningful primary. At the same time, though, the politics of this, I assume that what they're trying to do is divide a Democratic coalition that right now does not seem interested in being divided. Yeah. Democrats are pretty united around Harris. This week has been, again, very unprecedented in the extent to which they've closed ranks. I do think that Republicans would be wise to have a message that's not about process, but is more about policy, to focus their message more on voters' discontentment with the economy, with immigration, with crime, with these issues where voters in polls that I see day in and day out tend to trust Republicans much more than Democrats. The Trump campaign would be much smarter to keep the focus on that versus trying to fight these process wars.
So, Matt, on that front, one of the things that we have begun to hear are these attacks on Vice President Harris as a liberal. Tom Cotton started it here, calling her a San Francisco liberal like 5 times in 7 minutes. And this morning, we are seeing for the first time this super PAC, which is now supporting Harris, saying they're coming out with an ad buy, some $50 million they're putting into this ad. I want to play a little bit of it.
She's the district attorney who protected children from sexual predators. She's the attorney general who stood up to the big banks to protect homeowners.
Yeah, so those two things, I wanted to highlight that, Matt, because again, and you spent your career trying to kind of nudge the Democrats or keep them in the center here. How much does Harris have to worry about that, and does this ad get to it?
Well, look, the entire ballgame here is winning the center, and the Harris team absolutely knows that. This is going to be a sprint to the general election where most voters have made up their minds already. The undecided voters tend to be centrists and moderates and independents. Those are the people that are up for grabs, and those are the people she's got to get. So this is a really good ad to focus on her tough as nails history as a prosecutor. And she's got to make clear to people that that's who she is. It's a very different game than she was in 2020 in a field of 19 other candidates running for a Democratic nomination. This is completely different. And she's got 3.5 years in the White House, lots of experience to talk about what they have done together and what she wants to do going forward, making this about the future. And I think she has a real opportunity to do that.
Matt Bennett, Kristen Soltis-Anderson, great to see you both this morning. Thanks so much.